If you're wondering what exactly the due date is on your credit card, I'm going to explain everything about it because honestly, it is fairly straightforward, but it is a tiny bit complicated if you don't know the ins and outs of the due date. And so that's what we're going to explain in this video. Now, before we can understand what the due date is on the credit card, the first thing we need to learn about is called the billing cycle. And this is very straightforward. And it's basically just a 30-day window where anything that happens on the credit card, so we're talking spending, returns, interest, anything like that, it's going to be jumbled up into that billing cycle. And as soon as the cycle closes, that's when you're going to be given your statement balance and a due date. And the due date is generally 25 days after that billing cycle closes. So if your cycle ended on the 31st this month, then the due date is probably going to be on the 25th the following month because it's always about 25 days after that cycle closed. So as far as the due date on your credit card is concerned, it is very important that you pay attention to that date because you don't want to have any late payments on your credit card. Because the first thing that can happen if you make a late payment is you can have a higher APR on your credit card. That's called a penalty APR for making a late payment. And on top of that, if you're more than 30 days late, that information can actually be passed on to the credit bureaus, and that can affect your credit score negatively as having a late payment on your credit score, which can affect it quite a bit. So not only can your credit score go down quite a bit, but it can take up to 7 years to get that off of your report. So definitely don't make any late payments on your credit card and don't miss that due date. Now, you also need to understand that every single month that you're given your due date, you're also going to be given 4 different payment options as to how you want to be paying off your credit card. So the first one on the list, this is going to be your statement balance. The second is going to be the minimum payment. The third is going to be your current balance. And then the fourth, we're just going to call this other or any amount, because this just implies that you can pay any amount that you want towards the credit card. And those are your 4 options. And I'm going to elaborate a little bit more on these for you guys because they are very important to understand because they're all uniquely different. The first option that you have to pay, called the statement balance, is probably the most important one in my opinion, because remember, as long as you pay off that statement balance in full every single month by that due date, then you never have to pay any interest on your credit card. And really, you don't have to worry about the other payments as long as you're just paying off that statement balance every month. So in my opinion, that's probably the most important because then you don't have to worry about paying interest. But if you don't have enough money to pay off that statement balance, then you can look at the other options as well. Next up is called the minimum payment, and it's basically just the minimum that you have to pay by the due date in order to not be considered late and have that penalty APR or get dinged on your credit score. So definitely make sure to at least pay that minimum payment by the due date. But keep in mind that if you are paying the minimum payment, you are paying about 99% in interest and 1% in principal every month. And it can take you a very long time to pay off that credit card because you are mostly going to be paying interest on it. So really try to avoid that unless you have no other option. And then the third option is called the current balance. And this is basically everything that you owe on your credit card, because when that billing cycle ended, if you're paying that about 20 days later, then you've probably made more purchases on your credit card, and those have been accumulating inside your current balance. And technically, those aren't really due until that next billing cycle closes. But if you want to, you can pay off that current balance and just get that credit card all the way down to 0 if you wanted to. But that is your choice, and you don't have to be making that current balance payment. You just have to at least make that statement balance payment by the due date in order to not be paying interest on the credit card. And then the last option is called other or any amount. And I personally use this one all the time because you can make as many payments as you like towards your credit card every single month, and there's no cap on that. It's not like you can only pay it once per month. You can pay it as many times as you want. So for instance, if you owe $1,000 by the 25th of the month, but at the beginning of the month, you only have $500, then maybe make a $500 payment and then make another $500 payment later in the month before that due date. And then you can wipe out that statement balance in full with 2 payments. And this can also help you with the minimum payment as well, because if you had, let's say, a $50 minimum payment on your credit card, but you did have $200 that you could pay towards the credit card, then definitely do that instead of just 50. So put in 200 in the other amount, Pay that and you're going to pay off the minimum payment plus a little bit more so that you are going to be paying less in interest. And this is going to be beneficial for you in the long run, even if you don't have enough money to quite pay off that entire statement balance in full. So just remember that the due date is very important on your credit card, and it's always going to be about 25 days after that billing cycle closes, and then you can choose how you want to be paying off your credit card by that due date. But thanks for watching this video. Have a great day.